Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on the Boys Play Minecraft 2 modded modpack server. Today we are going to work on making some progress in thermal expansion. I want to show you guys some new ways of doing power generation, as well as how you can start to use the phytogenic insulator to do all of your growing. So first off, I'm going to talk about the power setup. Here we are on my little janky island. We're actually going to be moving a lot of my materials over to a different area. That's going to be my main base, my main setup. I'm going to work on making sure that looks decent. This area I've just been using for some testing. Again, I apologize if my dogs are going nuts in the background. They're just excited. So we are using the compression dynamo. The compression dynamo requires some form of coolant. Here I'm using water, as well as some sort of fuel. Let me just search for compression. And I can show you all the different fuels that we could use. So we could use refined fuel, oil, seed oil, creosote oil. Here is the tree oil I was using before. And if we go to the last page here, we have gasoline. So each of these different fuels have a different amount of RF that they generate. Refined fuel is the highest RF generating fuel source. The naphtha is second, and third is gasoline. The reason that I'm using gasoline is in order to get refined fuel, I have to refine naphtha. In order to get naphtha, I have to find oil, which would require me going into Buildcraft, which I could do, but I'm not really in the mood for, or liquefacted coal. In order to get liquefacted coal, I have to use pulverized coal, which means I'm going to be using up all of my coal to get this pulverized coal. That's not really a very effective way of getting fuel, because I'm going to be running out. I would rather have a completely green, completely renewable way of getting fuel. So I was looking into gasoline. Gasoline comes from refined biocrude in the fractionating still. Biocrude comes from rich biomass, bioblend, pulped bioblend. Comes from any of these. Different amounts of biocrude for different things. I believe I'm using biomass. Yes. So pulped biomass comes from pretty much anything that you can grow thrown into a sawmill. So what I'm doing is I have a cactus farm going. This cactus farm, every time 4 cactus are generated, they go into the sawmill, makes pulped biomass, which then gets pumped into a magma crucible, melted down into biocrude, which is then tossed into a fractionating still to make gasoline. So here is my sawmill. It is importing cactus from down below and exporting to the right into the magma crucible, which is then melting it down into biocrude, which is then getting pumped over here and turned into gasoline. As you can see, I'm full up of gasoline, got a full power here in the compression dynamo. And yeah, this is just a nice simple little setup. My cactus farm that I have here is actually the first cactus farm I think I've ever made, and therefore it's really not the best. So I've just got a 3x3 of cactus with little glass panes to pop them off, and they fall down. However, the way that this is made, there's actually a really good chance that the cactus that just jumped into my inventory could, 1, jump over here. 2, it could actually pop off of this one and land down on that cactus down there and destroy itself. There have also been quite a few. If I fall down, if I look up, I might be able to see some cactus see right there. Some cactus just hanging out on those glass panes. So this is not the most efficient way of doing a cactus farm, but but it worked. It got me some experience in doing this, and it got me some resources. So I'm going to go ahead and warp over to my new area. So my new area is this this waystone right here. Oh, and it's nighttime. Let me sleep before I die, because I really don't have good armor on. I've got really banged up iron armor. So over here, I've got a hole in the ground. This is eventually going to be a factory, but I wanted to build a lot of my infrastructure underground. That way I could reserve the upper floors for more organized stuff. This is actually really close to the town that I'm a part of. My town's over that way. You can actually see it on the mini-map. There are some fields that way. But anyways, so in here, if I go down, I have a whole bunch of these rooms stacked one on top of another. I've actually capped off the ones that are completed just so I can drop down to the next one. I've got this floor, another floor, and a third floor left to do. And then I think I will be done. But I'm just going to pop down here. So each one of these floors has 12, 24, 48. My math is not working right now. 12 times 8. 12 times 8 is 72. Yes, I think. This is why you don't do math when you're brain dead. So each one of these floors has 72 cactus plants. Around each one of these cactus plants is a set of 8 glass panes. This means that when the cactus pops off, it will hit the glass pane and immediately fall straight down. Due to the hitbox, it will actually miss the cactus and it won't destroy itself. It will land right in this water stream, so there's nothing for it to land on. It goes right into the water stream. It goes down into those hoppers. At the bottom, thank God for slime boots. At the bottom here, I just have a set of 9 hoppers. If I break this one, I've got a chest down here. That chest is connected up to an item duct with a servo. That servo is set to only pull out cactus. It's whitelisted on cactus. Let me replace this. And that is the cactus farm. So the servo, the item filter, item duct, is pulling these cactus up all the way to the top. So that item duct comes up right here, and it goes out this way, over here, and it feeds into this sawmill. This sawmill feeds into this magma crucible, which feeds into this fractionating still, which feeds into these compression dynamos. I have all 3 of these compression dynamos set up with the same augments. They are all reinforced tier, so I've upgraded them twice. They have the fuel catalyzer, which means I'm going to get more energy from every bit of fuel that I use, as well as the agitative manifold, which is a specialization used that's best when you're only using gasoline. So I chose this specialization as opposed to others just because I'm going to be using gasoline and it really increases the energy output. I actually did a test. I think it doubles the energy output, or at least it looks like it doubles the energy output. So that's why I'm using this augment. The fluid that I'm using as coolant is going to be gelid cryothium. I don't have a way of manufacturing this as needed, so I'm actually going to be replacing the gelid cryothium with water. Water is not the best coolant, but it will, stronger coolants result in higher efficiency. So I'm going to try to use gelid cryothium because that is, I believe, one of the better coolants, if not the best coolant. Anyway, so this is my power setup that I'm going to be going with here. I can always upgrade these machines so that they work faster. I can always go down. Let me cover this up. I can always go down and add more to my my cactus farm here. Can't really add more layers because I'm going all the way down to bedrock, but what I can do is push these layers back more and just spread out the farm a little bit more. Over here, this is where I'm going to be working on next. You see I've got these storage doors here. My next goal is going to be, where is one? Phytogenic insulator. Is going to be to get a setup to use the phytogenic insulator. This infuses nutrients and lights into plants using redstone flux. Essentially what you can do, if I click show recipes, I can take any seed and grow it. There are a few seeds that don't work in here, but most of the seeds do. I can even use saplings in here. So I could throw a fruit sapling in there and get fruit. You see there are 20 or 48 pages of saplings in this mod pack. What I'm really interested in is using these to grow the mystical agriculture seeds. I don't know if you're aware of mystical agriculture. Let me pop over here at mystical. I'll just do mystical. So the mystical agriculture seeds. These, let's look at nether star seeds. So these seeds can be infused with certain materials to turn into a seed that grows that material. Now these seeds will create essence. This essence can be used in different crafting recipes to create the materials that were used to create the seeds. So this is the nether essence is used to craft nether stars. Fire seeds can be used to make fire essence, which can make lava buckets, for instance, if you're using the magma crucible or the magmatic dynamo. My apologies. But a lot of these higher seeds are going to be really effective ways of mass producing really rare materials. So for instance, signalum. Now signalum is super useful, but you see there are tons of pages of recipes. They're used for the higher tier upgrades. They're used for a lot of, it's used for a lot of stuff, but crafting it that way is such a pain. So instead, I'm going to focus on growing signalum. What we need to do to use the phytogenic insulator, we need a source of, wow, my brain's not working right now. We need a source of fertilizer. So there are 3 different kinds of fertilizer. There's phytogrow, rich phytogrow, and fluxed phytogrow. The biggest difference between these is how many materials you get out at the end. So let me just click on one of these seeds, night slime seeds. Let me click on uses. So you'll see right here in the phytogenic insulator, if I use regular phytogrow, I get 1. If I use the rich phytogrow, I get 2. If I use the fluxed phytogrow, I get 3. So I get triple the output for using this one. Now it takes more effort to make it, but I get triple the output. And you'll also notice the energy usage is only double. So for twice as much energy, I get 3 times as much materials. So we're going to be having a production line to create that flux infused phytogrow. You'll see right here I've actually got some already. I've got about 2 stacks worth. It took quite a while, but I'm actually going to replicate the setup that I used to make it right here. So now we're going to go into the crafting rabbit hole, and I'm going to go ahead and do this all off camera, and then I'm going to talk you through how it works, just because I'm not good enough to be able to do it all on camera. There are a lot of things that I'm just going to have to pause and think about, and that's not going to be very fun to watch. So again, I'll be right back when I have that all prepped. And we are back. So as you can see, a lot has changed. I'm going to walk you through these steps backwards. So my end goal is the fluxed phytogrow. This phytogrow comes from the energetic infuser. If I click on recipes, I can take rich phytogrow and turn it into fluxed phytogrow. That's going to be so obnoxious to say over and over again. But anyways, to get rich phytogrow, I either need to get some sawdust, niter, and rich slag, or I can take regular phytogrow, infuse it with sap, and I'll get rich phytogrow. Now, this method is a little bit more efficient, but unfortunately, rich slag is very difficult to produce. So you typically produce it when you use the induction smelter with an ore block and some sand, or an ore block and some cinnabar. Unfortunately, this is not really a method that can be, I guess, farmed easily. You can't really ensure that you're going to get a very good return. I guess, anyways, what I was saying is I don't really have a way of making rich slag very efficiently. So instead, I'm going for the fluid transposer. I'm going to take regular phytogrow and infuse it with sap. Now, sap comes from using a sawmill with a resin funnel on certain trees. There's this wood, whatever that is, oak wood, cherry wood, and dark oak. You get 10 millibuckets, 10, 10, and 20. So I went with the dark oak. I actually just randomly picked dark oak, and then in the end found that it was twice as efficient as the others. So kind of lucked out there. But I'm brain stopped. I'm milling down dark oak wood into dark oak wood planks and sawdust to make sap. And then that sap is getting infused here in my fluid transposer into some regular phytogrow. Now the recipe for phytogrow is sawdust, niter, and slag. Sawdust I am getting from the sawmill that is also producing my sap. I've also got a pulverizer here to take the dark oak wood planks that come out of the sawmill and pulverize those into more sawdust. So I've got this generating sawdust, oak wood planks, and sap, and this right here is generating just sawdust. Now, as far as how I'm getting those logs, I'm actually using a phytogenic insulator for this. I've got dark oak saplings in my phytogenic insulator. I've upgraded this with the nutrient recovery augmentation. This means that there's a chance that I will not consume my fertilizer. So whatever fertilizer I'm using, in this instance fluxed phytogrow, is going to be less likely to disappear. I've also got the sapling infuser so that I can grow trees, and the monoculture cycle. This allows me to not have to worry about cycling in and out the sapling. Normally, with a phytogenic insulator, as soon as this grows, this sapling gets moved down into the output slot, and it would have to get recycled back in using item ducts. I didn't want to use item ducts, so instead I'm using the monoculture cycle. That is spitting out the sawdust and the oak wood. The sawdust is going up through here into this basic drawer. The oak wood is going down into this drawer. The pulverizer has this retriever on it, which is set to pull dark oak wood planks from here into there. So whenever there's a slot for this, it will pull. I'm not actually sure why this does not work. Oh, that's unusual. Let me try something. Boop. And let me turn that off. Oh, that's why. For some reason, this was set to a high redstone control. That would mean I would need to add a redstone signal to make it turn on. There we go. It really doesn't matter because I don't need a lot more sawdust. I've actually got, if I shift right click on this, I've got 2,000 sawdust already. I'm never going to run out of that. You'll notice in here I have what's called a void upgrade. When I get to the maximum amount that this drawer can hold, which I believe is 2048, it will destroy any extra sawdust that gets put into it. Void upgrades are a great way of making sure that your storage system does not overflow with specific items. You'll notice I've got void upgrades on all of these, even though, like for instance, slag is produced at such a low rate that I'm never going to run out of it. There's a weird glitch that when you right click on this to look at the amount and there's nothing in there, it actually stops holding that item. Over here I've got, some sand and I've got some flint. I could go ahead and just immediately trash those, but I thought it would be nice to keep them just in case I needed them. Anyways, so that is the PhytoGrow recipe, how I get the sawdust. The slag, let me go back here. The recipe for slag comes from using an induction smelter to smelt pretty much anything with sand. So what I'm choosing to smelt up here is pulverized iron with sand. This will give me an iron ingot and potentially some slag. There's an augmentation in here, the auxiliary sieve. This increases my chance of a secondary output, which means I'm increasing my chance of getting some slag. This will then output in the top. You see there's yellow here, yellow up there. The iron ingot actually gets pushed down into this pulverizer where it pulverizes down into iron dust and gets pushed back up. So I've got 2 iron dust just going back and forth and back and forth. The reason I've got 2 is if I ever do get a backload of sand, and I can just, for instance, take this sand and toss it in here, it does work a bit faster if there are 2. I could actually probably put in a 3rd, and that will speed up my slag production a bit. The other ingredient, not uses, I want recipe. The other ingredient is niter. I'm using the thermal foundation niter. This is found by just mining some ores, or you can make it using saltpeter essence. So what I've got down here is another phytogenic insulator, this time with saltpeter seeds. These seeds are being pushed into the sequential fabricator, and that is definitely a creeper. And of course I don't have my weapon on me. There we go. The sequential fabricator, let me sleep, is a very interesting block. It's essentially an auto crafter. So if I look at the interface here, this area down here is a storage area. It fills up with items that then uses those items to craft. Up here is where you set the crafting recipe. So for instance, the recipe I set was this. You then check to set the recipe and it will store that recipe. Yeah. So anytime it gets 3 saltpeter essences, it will craft it into niter. Now, the niter is backed up here because it gets pushed into this sequential fabricator up here, where I've got the recipe for my PhytoGrow. 2 sawdust, 1 niter, 1 slag. Now, I have 1 augment, and I've actually got this augment in both of these, just in case, called the pattern validation. What this does is it prevents my buffer here from filling up with sawdust. It essentially reserves, because there are 9 spots on a crafting grid, it reserves 2 of these spots in here for each location on my crafting grid. So there are 2 sawdust in my crafting recipe, so I get 4 stacks of sawdust here. There's 1 niter, so I get 2 stacks of niter. There's 1 slag, so I could get 2 stacks of slag. Now, as I mentioned, slag is a bit of a bottleneck at the moment, so that's why I've only got less than a stack of slag, but eventually it will fill up. And I think that's it for this setup. This setup is not the fastest. I still have to work on voiding these dark oak saplings and voiding the saltpeter seeds, or storing them, separating them out. I'm going to actually wait on that for a little bit. Right now, this is my biggest bottleneck, the sap production. Once I get more, I could get more of these sawmills going, because as you can see, I've actually backed up my dark oak wood supply. So I could probably actually run another sawmill off of this, but I think I'm going to just let this keep running. I think it should work pretty well as like a passive production process. You see here I've already got 45 fluxed phytogrow. It's so small because I've added some here and here. Yeah, these should be automatically inputting phytogrow to the left and the right, but it doesn't seem to be working, so I think I'm going to have to work on that as well at some other point. But anyways, this is my phytogrow setup. So anyways, I think that's going to do it for us today. Okay, I hear a slime, or I hear something squishy. I think that's going to do it for us today. If you've got any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. Oh, there is a slime. Okay, not going crazy. Feel free to leave them in the comments area below. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you around next time.